Hello. Thank you for attending the Department of the Air Force Child Development Program's Infant Safe Sleep Instructional Guide training. This guide is used from the April 2023 publishing. The training objective is to assist Child Development Center staff, managers, family child care providers and coordinators, contract workers, and volunteers in understanding their roles and responsibilities in providing a safe sleep environment to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome. This guide may not be used for evaluating staff. The purpose is to provide standardized procedures and guidelines for creating a safe sleep environment for infants. Overview. SIDS is the leading cause of death for infants under the age of 12 months. Despite the decrease in deaths attributed to sleeping practices and the decreased frequency of prone infant sleep positioning over the past 2 decades, some caregivers and teachers continue to place infants to sleep in positions or environments that are not safe. The majority of deaths in child care facilities occur within the first day or the first week an infant starts in a child care program. One of the most important ways to reduce infant deaths in child care settings is for CYP personnel to implement and model safe sleep practices for parents and guardians in the program. Sleep position. To reduce the risk of SIDS, infants up to 12 months of age will be placed for sleep in a supine, wholly on the back position by CYP personnel. Deviation from the safe sleep policy requires documentation from the child's healthcare provider and approval from the installation medical advisor, the Child and Youth Services Flight Chief, and the Air Force Services SVPY. Post a notice on the infant's crib without any identifying medical information. Documentation is kept in the infant's file. Infants with gastroesophageal reflux should be placed for sleep in the supine position. Elevating the head of the infant's crib while the infant is sleeping is not permitted. It is ineffective in reducing gastroesophageal reflux and might result in the infant sliding to the foot of the crib into a position that might compromise respiration. Once an infant can roll from back to front and front to back, the infant can be allowed to remain in the sleep position that he or she assumes. Infants must be asleep before assuming whatever position they choose. Sitting devices. Sitting devices such as car seats, safety seats, strollers, bye-bye buggies, swings, infant carriers, bouncy seats, and infant slings are not used for routine sleep. If an infant falls asleep in any of these devices, he or she is immediately placed in an approved sleeping device. Infants younger than 4 months of age are particularly at risk in sitting devices because they might assume positions that can create risks of suffocation or airway obstruction. Remember, 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon are all children are allowed to have when sitting in bouncy seats. Upon their time for sleep, if they have fallen asleep in a bouncy seat, they are to be taken out of the bouncy seat and placed on their back in a crib. Remember, when you're placing a child in a bouncy seat, you must buckle them in. Sleep environment. Cribs used in CDCs and FCC homes must conform to the safety standards of the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission and the American Society for Testing Materials. All cribs must comply with the federal safety standards, which include no drop-side cribs, crib slats less than 2 3/8 inches apart. At the top of the crib mattress must be 20 inches from the top of the crib rail. And crib mattresses must be 6 inches thick and firm and tightly fitting. Bassinets and portable cribs and playards are used in FCC homes, which must conform to the safety standards of the U.S. CPSC and ASTM. Cribs with missing hardware are not used. CYP personnel should not attempt to fix broken components of a crib. Many deaths are associated with cribs that are broken or have missing parts, including those that have been presumably fixed. Only mattresses designed for this specific product should be used. Mattresses should be firm and maintain their shape when fitted sheet designed for that model is used. There should not be any gaps between the mattress and the sides of the crib or the corners of the crib, bassinet, portable crib, or playard. Soft materials or objects such as stuffed animals, pillows, quilts, blankets, comforters, or sheepskins, even if covered by a sheet, are not placed under or near a sleeping infant, 12 months or younger. Soft items may not be placed in cribs or safe sleeping equipment. Sleep clothing, such as sleepers and wearable blankets without hoods, must or may be used as alternatives to blankets. Parents are not to bring their own sleep sacks. A thin single-layer receiving blanket approved by the Air Force may be used in the play areas. However, the infant must be on his or her back and be awake during this playtime. Blankets may not be used during tummy time. Once an infant is able to roll independently, blankets will no longer be used in the play areas. Bumper pads or similar products which attach to crib slats or slides are not permitted. Hanging crib toys such as mobiles and crib gems should be out of infants' reach. Any hanging crib toy must be removed when an infant first begins to push up on his hands or her hands and knees when the baby is 5 months old, or whichever comes first. These toys can strangle an infant. Note, mobiles are not used on fire evacuation cribs. Infants sleep in an area free of hazards, such as dangling cords, electrical wires, and window covering cords, because they might present a strangulation risk. To avoid overheating in general, infants should be dressed appropriately for the environment with no more than one layer more than an adult would wear in a comfortable environment. CYP personnel should evaluate the infant for signs of overheating, such as sweating or the infant's chest feeling hot to the touch. Infants who use pacifiers will be offered their pacifier when they are placed to sleep. However, it is not reinserted if the infant falls asleep and the pacifier falls out. Due to the risk of strangulation, pacifiers and bibs should not be hung around the infant's neck or attached to their clothing. Objects such as stuffed toys, which might present a suffocation or choking risk, should not be attached to pacifiers. In the CDC, a copy of the Infant Safe Sleep Practices poster is posted in each sleeping infant area. In FCC, an Air Force Infant Safe Sleep Practices poster is posted and visible on the parent board. Commercial devices marketed to reduce the risk of SIDS are not permitted. These devices include wedges, positioners, special mattresses, and special sleep surfaces. A request to use a device requires documentation from the infant's healthcare provider, which has been reviewed and approved by the CYP Medical Advisor and Air Force Services SVPY. Home cardiorespiratory monitors are not used as a strategy to reduce the risk of SIDS unless directed by a medical professional and approved by the CYP Medical Advisor. There is no evidence that use of such devices decreases the incidence of SIDS. During overnight care in FCC homes, the infant's crib, portable crib, playard, or bassinet should be placed in the same room or near the FCC provider's own sleeping arrangements. FCC providers must sleep on the same floor as children under the age of 8 years old. Infants will not be placed to sleep on any standard bed, waterbed, couch, air mattress, or on other soft surfaces because of the risk of entrapment and suffocation. At no time will infants sleep in the FCC provider's bed. And at no time will infants 2 weeks to 12 months be placed on cots. Older infants over 6 months may be placed on a firm sleeping mat approved for infants if a crib is not available. Only one infant will be placed to sleep in each crib. Siblings, including multiples, will be placed in separate cribs. Supervision. CDP personnel trained in safe sleep practices and approved to care for infants will be present in each room at all times when infants are present. Infants should be directly seen and heard at all times, including when they are going to sleep, are sleeping, or are in the processes of waking up. Convex or concave mirrors may augment supervision. However, mirrors are not to replace direct sight and sound supervision required at all times. CDP personnel must position themselves so someone can always hear and see any sleeping infants, including when staff are engaged with other children who are awake. Note, FCC providers providing overnight care may sleep if the FCC provider has less than 3 children in care, including his or her own household members under the age of 8 years old. Supervised awake tummy time is recommended to facilitate development and to minimize development of positional plagiocephaly, which is flattening of the skull. Tummy time helps build strength in an infant's head and neck and builds upper body muscles. Tummy time should take place when the infant is awake and alert and CDP personnel are within arm's reach of the infant. Infants should be placed on solid surfaces. Blankets will not be used during tummy time. Communication with parents. Upon enrollment, the Infant Safe Sleep Instructional Guide will be reviewed with parents. A copy of this policy will be provided along with the parent handbook. Parents are encouraged to utilize the same measures when the infant is at home. Here is a copy of an infant safe sleep exception form. This form is to be filled out by the front desk and by your center director. Please note, routines and transitions are in place to provide smooth and unregimented transitions between activities. Adjust transitions to meet the needs of the rhythms of young children and youth as much as possible. Please give advance notice to children or youth that have difficulty moving from one task to another. Conduct daily routines such as diapering and sleeping in a relaxed manner. Use padding or soft music to help children sleep. Provide non-sleepers with books or quiet toys to use during rest time. Remember, children do not have to sleep. However, they do have to be quiet and respectful of their environment. This is from the United States Air Force Instructional Guide 34-144 to July 2019. Thank you for attending the Infant Safe Sleep Instructional Guide training, and if you guys have any questions, please go see your supervision or your center director.